Mine's live.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to our Blades and Blasters game of 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Legends of Arcanus. This is Chapter 5 of our tale. We haven't been able to play as frequently as we probably would have liked to. But if you're interested, go back and listen to episode 1 to 5. I think you'll enjoy it. While you're there, go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We post new videos about every day. And players, all of you guys, if you have any questions about what's going on, feel free to interrupt me. A lot can happen within a month. So with that, we're going to get started. All right. So here's the north, if you guys kind of remember. There's the overview of where you're at. And we're going to do a quick cutscene to take care of Mr. Raven. It has been weeks since the raising of Pinebreak Peak. When Tarbin Giant's Blood departed for the mountains, the new denizens of the domain now deemed New Vanhar, had just started rebuilding. As he left, his silhouette was outlined in flickering flames. But now, the sun overhead is deep blue. Lord Giant's Blood retired to his keep at Buzzard's Roost, and his return spread through the Boreas Boreae like a summer storm. Messengers went out from the keep and returned in time with answers. The villages and hamlets of the mountains, fearing punishment from the Lord of Buzzard's Roost, would contribute what troops they could to the cause. Most of these villages were little more than quaint collections of goat herders. The tribes of men that lived on the northern slopes of the Boreas, however, were more warlike. Days ago, 3 units of cavalry mustered on the plains below Lord Giant's Blood's keep. And now the Lord himself, flanked by his knight, Sir Carl the Drake, makes his way down the mountains on his return journey to New Vanhar. He sits atop a great black destrier and speaks as the mountain whips his cape. "You have been loyal to our house, lo, these many years," Tarbin says to the knight. "And it has been too long since we rode to war together. I dare say I was at least 4 feet shorter then." He laughs and it sounds like a landslide. "Indeed, my lord," the Drake replies. "I have been on long journeys and missed too many campaigns. I look forward to fighting by your side." Tarbin nods. "Ah, but this is different. We have made a deal with a power that I little understand. I am mighty, Carl, but I also fear the treachery of this demon." He thinks to himself, and a frown is upon his granite-like face. Carl the Drake answers, "We serve the Lord of Fristenfeld, at least until we don't." Tarbin laughs as the army falls in line behind him, winding down onto the plains and heading west towards New Vanhar. A respite from tyranny. In the days following the destruction of Pinebreak Peak, there were some few who sought a respite from the tyranny. Caught up like a swirling leaf in a swift stream, Foliana Gretti's mind may be reeling. For even as Pinebreak burnt to the ground and its new masters set upon its reconstruction, a sickness began to spread through the land. The river turned dark with ash and soot. A cloud of sulphurous fume hung over the town's ruins. The refreshing breeze that once came from the mountains was replaced by an oppressive stagnation that made all but the most stout-hearted despair and long for better days. But there were some areas that resisted. A forest is not a dead thing. It is living, and like all living things, it resists death and disease, at least while it is able, and it ever yearns for fresh water and sunlight. It is in one of those small copses of trees in Pinebreak Forest that Foliana now rides or walks. It is midday, and the sun lilts softly through the summer leaves overhead. Underfoot, there is green grass and moss, and wildflowers can be seen, white and pink and gold. In the distance, a bubbling brook can be heard running over smooth stones. And we'll let you take it from there, Foliana. And Torkel, if you're with her, or if not, that's fine too.
Well, if this is some time, how long is this after?
I think this can be several days to weeks. It's up to you.
I would say even several days after she would have asked Torkel if he would walk.
Yes.
Woods. She has gone every day to the wood here, but today she has asked him.
I like to hear the wind blow through the trees. It is good. The forest is a good place. Though the wind mocks me. It says I am not Torkel the Wise. It says I'm a fool. What do you think, Foliana?
She hesitates at first. She says, I think that even this forest will not remain for long. This sickness seems to be spreading. Curses the land. A curse we brought upon it. She kind of looks at him pointedly and trying to assess his reaction to that statement.
Torkel lifted the chain alone. I do not think it is any but I who bears this burden, this guilt. I thought to do great things. But this is not a good thing. Though it may be great, no one will remember it. We will all be dead.
Foliana just looks down. She looked like maybe she was going to start to say something, but she has stopped herself. She says, how much longer do you suppose it will be before our new master turns on us when we are no longer of use to him?
Why does he need to turn? We already obey his commands. We are just ants at his feet. He steps on us, it would be by mistake. We are too small to pay attention to.
We are supposed to command his armies, or at least, well, maybe not us. Julius, certainly.
Yes, Julius, he knows how to command armies. He is a great man.
What will he use them for?
He has 2 devils, 2 demons. He must choose sooner or later.
I suspect his father will be his first target. He speaks of him with an ill heart.
He will regret this in time. But now, like Torkel, he seeks to do great things. He will regret it later. But it will be too late.
Do you intend to stay and continue to serve this master?
Where else can we go? Do you know a place, Foliana, where we can avoid it? I had this on my stomach. Does it not dwell inside of me? Where can I run? How can I kill it?
Perhaps you are Torkel the Wise. She says, I don't know where I can run to, but I do not think I can stay here for much longer.
I would not betray our allies, but I would come with you. I do not like the demons. I do not like doing evil things. That is what I do here.
It seems they have made their choice. They have embraced this new role they are to play.
There is always regret.
Perhaps. Perhaps you think too well of men. Men are different where you come from, I'm sure. More simple. I don't mean that insultingly, although a week ago I would have.
Sometimes civilization makes one less human.
She says, I don't understand this lust for power. Is not the goal of power to be free, to be unrestrained, to live the life one wants to live and not the life one is told to live? And yet, why does this seem to always necessitate taking the freedom of others? I don't quite understand.
You are a woman. You do not understand the need to be stronger, to dominate. That is what drives them. And me.
Can you not know that you are stronger and that be enough?
I can.
In any case, this is not what I imagined. Honestly, I'm not sure what I imagined. Though I confess, when I watched you lift that chain, there was no part of me at that moment that wanted to stop you. You said it was you alone, but all of us allowed it to happen. Well, strangely enough, Julius did try to stop you, but he now seems the one most eager to embrace this war he has brought on.
He plays a great game. He has a piece in it. We are only small ones. Though I think he will regret doing harm to his own father. It is not a good thing. A son should not do harm to his father.
Again, I think you are speaking as someone who comes from a very different place.
Perhaps so. But I think all men are basically the same deep down. It is their surroundings that shape them to what they become.
Perhaps.
So where would you go, Foliana? If it is not listening in my belly.
I do not think I can go home. Though, strangely, that is where I wish to be. I not wish that in a while.
Would there be those at your home who could tell us how to fight this thing? How to make it subservient to us? Or to get rid of it completely?
Perhaps. My father and the other members of the council are wise, but to tell them would necessitate the answering of many questions I would rather not answer. And yet I feel I ought to send warning to them somehow.
Do you think they are so blind they do not already see the formation of armies, the burning of villages, the poisoning of the wind?
My people see when they wish to see. Of late, they have become obsessed with their own interests, our own realm. We have neglected the world outside. That is partly why I wished to come and see it.
You say you have neglected it. Is it yours to neglect?
There was a time when we thought of ourselves as stewards of the land, and even of those in it, at least the beasts of the fields and forests, if not even man when he was young. He seems to have outgrown us.
I'll ask again, what would you have us do? Do you have a plan?
Not as yet, but I will think on it.
And as Torkel and Foliana walk or ride through the forest, that breeze comes from the east, and it's not filled with soot, it's not warm, it's light and refreshing. And eventually they come down close to the stream and mayhaps can stop for a little refreshment or to water the horses. But before you do that, I'd like to say excellent RP. Fantastic. So you are each granted 1 point of inspiration. You can use that whenever you like. People give D&D a lot of crap, but what I'm seeing is some great RP and actual character development. So cheers to that.
Well,
But
it was all to get the inspiration point. So.
it's all to get the inspiration.
Yeah, we planned this all week.
Yes.
It's not over yet. So give me, both of you, a DC 15 perception check, please.
Well, Foliana is certainly lost in thought. So I don't think she's paying attention to much of anything around her right now except the sound of the breeze and Torkel's voice, I suppose.
It does have a ring to it, doesn't it?
And Torkel, as you kneel down next to the stream, you hear ever so softly a little clip, clop, clip, clop, and then like a little splash of water from across the stream. And then you hear a horse and see the nose of a white stallion emerge from behind a tree. And this person is not aware of you either, but you see atop this white stallion a slender, live elf with a bow slung at his back as he waters his horse and raises his head and sniffs the wind.
Torkel will put a finger on Foliana's arm, then point.
She looks at his hand for a moment, confused, like why would he be touching her arm, and then kind of follows his hand and sees the rider. Which I assume she recognizes. If he has not seen her yet, her instinct would be to duck down immediately. even though her horse is right there, but that's her first reaction is there's a moment of panic almost.
And you would be able to see at this distance whatever the colors of your house is and that sort of thing on this rider. And why the rider's mind may be preoccupied with what he has seen these past few days, his horse is nonetheless a horse, and he kind of snorts, and the rider, you can hear, goes, "Hey boy, baby, something wrong, boy?" And the horse's head kind of raises and starts to ever so slowly kind of clip clop in your direction.
Seeing that there is no real way to get away without being recognized, Foliana will stand up and straighten herself out a little bit, take her horse's rein, and she will call out, "Aemon Gilthonian, what ill wind has brought you here?"
With that, if you thought you were startled, the elf atop the horse looks even more so. Kind of in a reflection of the horse's ears, the elf's ears kind of go a little straight and his back stiffens. And looking across the stream, it's clear he locks eyes with you, Foliana, and an ill wind? What say you of ill wind? There's a lot of it about these days. And
I swear it was not me.
he splashes across the stream, splish, splash. It just kind of comes to the other bank next to you. The horse's hooves kind of digging into the silt. Aemon looks down at Foliana and Torkel. "Fancy seeing you here, Lady Foliana. I'm most certainly blessed. And you are in the company of who?"
I am Torkel of the North.
Well
Foliana
met,
just
Torkel of the North.
She
Yes.
says, "Why have you ranged far from home, Aemon?"
Well, you will never believe it, Foliana, but I was sent here by your dear mother, the Lady Kala. Very much against your father's wishes, might I add.
Foliana kind of, without even thinking about it, just sort of rolls her eyes when he says her mother.
He kind of narrows
Takes
his
a
eyes.
breath.
I expected you would take greater care with all this devilry about. Only leagues from here, it seems. The Age of Legends has come upon us again, and according to rumor, an elf is among them. And he kind of looks at you. Please, my lady.
I have heard such rumors myself.
I would hate to report that my master's daughter has not only continued to become more headstrong and foolish, but that she's thrown her lot in with wickedness. Please tell me this is not the case.
Of course it is not the case.
And yet here you are, not 2 leagues from the old village of Pinebreak Peak, who has been bastardized by some evil.
Indeed it has. Nowhere seems safe these days. So, my mother has sent you, has she? With what purpose were you sent? Did you bring me some cookies, perhaps?
No, trail food is all you'll get from me, Foliana. It's been a long journey from Southlandia, and I certainly did not expect this. In fact, I was supposed to be little more than a babysitter, to retrieve you by your ear, kicking and screaming if I had to.
Really? She squares her shoulders a little bit, and her her demeanor becomes a little more haughty as it was in the old days, which she has not done in at least a week now. She says, were those my mother's very instructions? To drag me kicking and screaming back home. Was that it?
If those were not the letters of the law, they were certainly the flavor of the order she gave me, Foliana.
Really? And she supposed that you could do this? And she looks behind him as if looking for others that might be accompanying him.
And she doesn't see anyone else at this point.
No, but it's the gesture. It is. She does it in a rather exaggerated manner.
While your father was content to let you suffer the slings and arrows of the north, or whatever adventures you deemed to take, your mother always had an eye for your safety, Foliana. You must know that.
Of course.
And are you?
She has always worried about her poor little dear. Am I safe?
Are you safe, Foliana?
She puts her hands up and looks around. She says, I appear to be safe for the moment. That's more than any of us can, or that's as much as any of us can say.
And this man, Torkel, I believe his name was?
He
How
has,
did you
he has
follow
become
to
a
his-
traveling companion of mine. I find his company agreeable. He has never expressed any desire to drag me kicking and screaming anywhere.
Well, 1 out of 2, I suppose. I suppose you are safe and not slain on some field of battle or on some unknown mountainside. And I can see now that you're not burnt to a crisp, unlike those chaps who were crucified along the road.
Yes. When he says that, she kind of involuntarily swallows hard a little bit and stops meeting his eye for a moment. And then she forces herself to look back and kind of take a breath. She says, well, it appears you have discharged your duties. She says, I trust you will carry back to our people the news of what is transpiring here.
Indeed I will, in time.
In time.
He kind of pop. Our family has served the Greddies for generations, Foliana.
Indeed.
I may be sent here as an errand boy, but I'm certainly not going to turn my back on this horror that's befell Pinebreak Peak.
And you think you can do something about it?
Well,
Don't be a fool. Go home.
I've already done what I can, Foliana.
Oh, what did you do? Do tell.
He kind of pats his horse. Upon seeing Pinebreak burning, I immediately fled north. We elven folk have few friends here in the north, but there are still some that keep the old ways. I reported to the Abbey Abbekins in the north, and spoke to the friar there. They are quite aware of the goings-on, and they are aware that danger may soon come to the region. And after that, I do not know what their actions will be, but I've done my part.
Good. Then you may carry a message for me to my mother that I am grateful for her concern. Perhaps one day I will return when I am ready to come home. But for now, I cannot do that.
Aemon looks at Foliana and then at Tarkle as well. Well, I see there will be no dragging, kicking, and screaming, Foliana.
What, do you need help?
No. I see that this journey is your own. For now, your safety must be good enough for your mother. If it is your wish, Foliana, I will depart. Although I can make no promises about returning home at once.
I suppose what you do is your own business.
Are all of your father's servants so impudent and headstrong? They are all like you.
Foliana turns to Torkel and says, "My people have cause to be proud. We have, or at least have once been masters of this land for many, many generations.
Perhaps
Most
if you
of us
went
are-
where you were supposed to, then you would still be.
I will not pretend to try to explain our ways to someone who would not understand them.
Well, I am but a fool. I'm sorry to meddle in the ways of the mighty elf.
Foliana turns back to Eamon. She says, "If you do not intend to return, what do you intend?"
Well, like you, Foliana, I only wish to be free. Free as the breeze and this bird in the tree. He starts to clop away. Perhaps I'll see the sights.
While the world burns, I respect that, Eamon.
So long for now, Foliana, and keep that man with you. You could use someone to bounce an idea off from time to time, and he seems to have the nerve not to agree with every misguided direction you may head.
Is he mocking you? I think he is.
She just smirks. And she says, "It is of no matter." At least my people know. That gives me some comfort, I suppose. She does watch him go. She doesn't make it obvious. She doesn't really want Torkel to see that she is watching Eamon leave, but she does kind of watch as he leaves.
Yeah, as he leaves, he kind of heads up the stream with kind of the boughs of two trees kind of arching overhead with the golden sunline just kind of silhouetting him, and the white horse just kind of fades from view into the green foliage of the forest.
She says, I ought to be getting back. I find I have little stomach for the forest at the moment now. Perhaps your stomach bug is contagious. And she leaps back onto the back of her horse.
I will listen to the wind a little longer. I think it wishes to chide me some more.
There will be no end of that if you listen long enough. And she rides away. Not fast.
And with that, the scene will slowly fade and will move days to weeks into the future.
Mm-hmm.
Back to the Deviler. should all be able to see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very clearly.
As the scene opens, you can see a dark sky with clouds that look like boiling oil. They float from the east to the west, revealing destruction of the once sleepy town of Pinebreak Peak. In its stead is now New Vanhar, once the seat of power of Zorul, but now the home of 4 adventurers whose fate is still undecided. As you come closer, you see ruined buildings. You see areas of the ground that seem burnt. Still other areas glow red as molten magma rises from the depths and rolls onto the nearby river in a choking hiss. You hear the crack of a whip and see the form of a demon wreathed in flame. It has the body of a man, but the head of a serpent. Outside, the borders of the town are poisoned. The summer trees are barren, and the new armies of the lords of this land are arrayed as if for battle. The demon enters a great hall and approaches Lord Terrask and the others if they are present. You should be able to see that.
Yep.
Let's just say you're all present for fun.
Sure.
Lord Terrask's construction of the keep is proceeding according to plan, and your armies are quite at your service. They grow strong, my lord. Julius may look worse for wear. Over the last weeks, he has had splitting headaches, and at times has seemed at war with himself. Whispered voices haunt him in his most private hours, and sleep has rarely, if ever, come.
Julius, upon seeing and this demon is Simonis, is that right?
Simonese, servant of Zorul.
And Simonese comes in. He is sitting on the chair or throne, whatever it equates to, and he's been rubbing his head rather roughly, temples. Looks kind of over Simonese with a weary gaze, but there's still fire in the eyes. That is good news to hear. Are there any reports from scouts, any movements that we have seen?
Scouts? Ah, you wish reports from the road and surrounding forests, no? Has Lord Zorul not given you the gift of sight?
Not as of yet, but I'm certain it will come. The scouts will do for now.
Julius, you have noticed over the past weeks that while the spirit of Zorul is certainly present always in the back of your mind, deep down in your brainstem, while his magic is doing work on the region and he commands so many units and warriors, and at some times your old friend still speaks to you. And you hear in the back of your mind now a dark voice more familiar. Even now, the servant of Zorul mocks you. Be careful, Lord Terrask. You have not gotten rid of me yet. We still have a deal. I, who have given you power lo these many years, kept you young, kept you beautiful. Do not take orders from this snake. And Simonese just kind of looks at you as if he can see that you're responding to internal stimuli, and If a snake could smile, this toothy smile goes across his face, and his forked tongue flickers in and out as if he's sensing the room's mood.
Julius stands and if there are no reports, find me someone who can bring them, Serpent.
I never said there were no reports, Lord Terrask. Foliana, I would like you for fun. I'm gonna do perception.
Perception?
Nope. I want you to roll stealth off of Amon's character there.
Oh, off of his character.
Yeah.
I cannot.
You should be able to have control of him.
I do not.
Let's see here. Oh,
I am denied.
now you can.
Nope. I can do everybody except him, in fact.
I changed the stats. I don't want you to have to reboot the game. Let me just put him back on the screen for you. If I can find him. Here he is. Now try it.
I cannot. So I can't even select his token. Is he on the...
Oh, okay, now do it. I clicked the wrong button.
Oh, yep, now I can.
There we go.
Perception, you say.
Stealth.
Or stealth, rather. Alright, stealth, you say.
Barely.
He has a cold.
So Simonese says, yes, there were some reports along the road to the north. Unfortunately, this is the only time he's looked weak. He kind of looks at the floor. They escaped. Their captain was atop a white stallion. It seems that our presence is not a secret, Lord Terrask, although such strength can hardly be kept shrouded for long. Lord Zorul commands you, no doubt, reveal yourself. No one should stand before your might, Lord Terrask.
Of course. We make preparations soon. Take Fristenfeld.
I will alert the soldiers to supply themselves to march.
Very good. Now leave us.
And the thing, the snake's head and a human body, just if something could walk and slither at the same time, it heads down this red carpet and disappears at the end of the hallway, kind of leaving behind it like this trail of sulfurous smoke.
As it exits, Julius leans back in the chair, relaxing a bit, and looks at the others. Of all those that Zor summoned to aid us in this conquest, that one irks me the most.
Then kill it. It is not but a snake.
He is a useful tool. He will be used and discarded as appropriate.
Whose tool is he again, Julius?
Zorul's more than mine, I wager, but there is time to rectify it.
think that is a wager you would win if you bet on Lord Zorul. We are all tools of him. Do you not agree?
I am well familiar with the nature of deals with demons, Foliana, as I remember I did try to tell you all at the time.
Yes. Yet here we are.
The state of things is perhaps not ideal. And again, he's continuing to rub his temples and look very uncomfortable. But this situation is still useful to me. To us.
When will it stop being useful, I wonder? Have you thought that far ahead?
I don't know whenever that time will come. We don't know what... We still don't know what we traded for all these favors from Zorul.
What favors again have we received? The favor I have received is a foul-smelling, sulfurous odor in my nostrils. Beyond that, I'm not sure I can count what gifts I have received. Perhaps you are the sole recipient.
On that we disagree. You felt the surge of power, did you not? I saw the vapors and miasma come from him and interject itself in all of us.
She says, I have felt the glow of love, too, for a moment, and then it is gone. Does not mean that I am filled with power. It means I experienced a moment.
And perhaps you must call that a bargain satisfied, if that is what you wished.
She looks away and sees Sir Carl. She says, it appears the giant's blood's dog has come, no doubt, to report more crucifixions.
As you say that, this mountain of a man who's only half of a mountain compared to Lord Giant's Blood himself kind of clanks in, clank, clank, huge, heavy, iron-shodden footsteps. He has his helmet off, and he has a thick brow and a thick mustache, but clean-shaven chin, and kind of looks down at Foliana. You speak bravely, little one. I am indeed here to give report. And he looks around for
Yes, she says,
Sir Tiffin,
she
who's
says,
not there.
bravely, Sir Carl. Have you not heard I am infused with power? You're the one that should be trembling. She kind of looks at Julius rather pointedly.
Oh, perhaps I am beneath my armor, Foliana.
You said you had reports, Sir Carl?
Indeed. Lord Giant's Blood. The cavalry have been fed and watered. They are recovered from the journey from the mountain. I have that to report.
Foliana said, they managed to find food somewhere. Congratulations. Must have been quite a feat.
There were several small villages on the way down from the mountains, and Lord Giant's Blood mere presence tends to empty the silos.
Hmm.
You've no doubt heard of his reputation that the hamlets and so forth on the way probably coughed up a good deal of supplies when they were on their way down through.
Very well, Sir Carl. Is there anything else?
That is all for now, my lord.
Very good. You may, I suppose Lord Giant's Blood will give you leave. Looks to Giant's Blood.
Tarbin simply nods to Sir Carl, and the nod says more words than any soliloquy could. And he scurries off. He stands almost twice as tall as Julius at his right side.
And, Julius will look to Foliana. And I sense no small amount of regret from you, even in my current state.
She says, I have yet to see what benefits we have derived from this other than to become the slaves of a power we have released. But if you can prove me wrong, I would be delighted.
Well, I cannot say I'm in the same position as you, as I have clearly benefited, as you said, the most from this arrangement, despite my desire perhaps not to take part, but I would tell you that deals with demons are rarely fair. Do you wish yourself out of it?
Is there a way out of it?
Exiting the
share.
deal would not be as simple as entering it, and I know not what it would entail at this time. I have studied many
You
things.
seem to know a great deal about the deal. Can you explain this deal to me? What prevents me from simply walking away right now?
Nothing. Not physically. But you will always have part of the rule within you. There will always be an inkling, a sensation, a feeling, and that will grow.
She says, I do not like having anyone in me uninvited, and I do not believe I invited him specifically.
Oh, but you did, Foliana, when you made the bargain.
Perhaps he should have been more clear with his terms then.
If he had, would you still have accepted them?
Of course not.
Then he had great incentive not to be so clear with exactly what he meant.
I suppose you would have, however.
As I said, I am quite satisfied with my patron, or was satisfied with solely that power, but we are all in it now. If you choose to walk away from it, do as you bid, then you certainly may, but his mark is upon you. Others will look at it as if it was the pox, mistrusting, rightfully so, to be completely fair. And there may be a day when his power overtakes yours from within.
And you are prepared to accept the day when that occurs to you, it seems.
Not in the slightest. And he smiles. But to overcome such a thing, you must understand it. And as you said, the motives, the cost, it was not clear in our bargain. It was simply a removal of the chain and power given. The price, that is to be delivered at a later date.
Lord Terrask, could you please give me a Arcana check at 12, please?
Certainly. Nope.
We're all rolling terribly today.
So in your darkest moments, your old patron has driven you nearly to madness, not letting you sleep, wanting a way out of this deal. Whoever your patron is, he does not like having a roommate, it seems. And he has driven you to research day and night, but alas, Pinebreak Peak wasn't much to begin with, and it's been burnt to the ground. You know that probably ways out of this deal, ways of defeating such demons, well, they certainly exist. They were known in the Age of Legends, and the Gilthonians probably knew about it because, well, they're the ones who defeated Zorol in the first place. And you know that probably great libraries, great treasures of knowledge probably could lead you in the right direction, but you simply do not know a particular place to go. You know that it exists, but you don't know where to go next.
Julius leans back in his chair, looking rather defeated. I have pored over all knowledge that is available to me here and of my own accord, and I have found nothing that is of use for us now, but as conquest comes, I will have access to greater resources to perhaps discover the means.
You'll have to read quickly before the flames take the books, then.
There's dark laughter in the back of your mind, Terrask. Your patron seems to like Foliana's joke.
He smiles. We shall see if we can keep the libraries from the flame. Of course, with this type, you cannot make any guarantees, I suppose. And what of you, Torkel? Are you in agreement with Foliana?
I think the snake should be killed. It annoys me.
Foliana laughs and says, Torkel, ever straightforward and simple.
Yes, I'm not so pretentious that I look down my nose at the whole world.
Julius rubs his temples again. I would say this, Torkel. If you wish to kill the snake, I will not stop you, though I imagine he might have something to say about it.
He?
The snake. It, whatever you wish to refer to it as. The being you wish to kill for being annoying.
Well, it has a right to fight for life, even a demon. I think nothing should just give in and die. Don't you think so, ally?
In some cases, it would be so much easier if certain things did, but I am in agreement with you.
It seems that you are just giving in to die.
By no means, Torkel. I intend to live a long life. A very long one.
This is good. You will do well, have many grandchildren, live long, see them grow strong, die old in your bed. This is good. You should be lucky to have this happen.
All of that sounds alright, but the dying. And he will stand up. I suppose...
You would outlive all your loved ones, your children, your wife. You would let these things happen? What fool are you, Julius?
Let's say Torkel. You see things a very different way than I do. You see long life, death as a means, an end, a proper end. I don't. I see long life as a way to make long-lasting changes forever. that is why I would sacrifice what you are saying is a good end or a foolish belief.
What changes would you make?
He looks out and sees the light barely hazing through some of the windows here. I think this country would be much stronger united than how fractured it is now.
Foliana just smirks.
And for this you would trade seeing your children die. You would trade growing old and having happiness to bring things together and make them unified so that when you die they can make a big pile of rocks for you instead of having a long line of grandchildren and great-grandchildren who remember and love you.
I would trade almost everything to rule all the world, Torkel. Is that not a great thing?
Perhaps it is a great thing, but is it a good thing?
I'm not worried about good or bad, Torkel.
I am too simple to understand your sophistry.
Or perhaps you're too wise for all of us.
Foliana rises from her chair and just looks at Julius and says, "My advice to you, Lord Julius, never have children." And she walks away.
Julius nods at that. Well, we have preparations to make.
Oh, let the snake make the preparations. I will have some ale, if they have not drank it all. Come, have ale with me, Lord Julian. It will help your headache.
I sincerely doubt it, but we can give it a try.
You just have not had enough ale yet.
Very well. We'll proceed to follow Torkel.
Perhaps Giant's Blood should drink with us too. I think he can empty a tankard.
Tarvin looks down at Tarkle and nods. Lead the way, Tarlson.
Yes, bloody giant, let us drink to your health. And the long life of Lord Terrask.
And he heads down toward wherever the ale is in large quantities.
Yeah, in this town, there's not many sentients still around.
We'll go to the local tavern. Oops.
But like it could, like the scene could end. It's just a very sad thing. Like the reluctant pig. Like there's the burnt husk of that place, that inn. Remember that?
Yep.
But maybe like the main public room of that is like was made of bricks, and so you guys could kind of go into there, and maybe there's still some stuff around, but it's probably gross. And you can drown your sorrows in that.
I'm really interested to see if enough ale will make Julius have his headache go away.
I sincerely doubt it.
It's still an experiment that Torkel would like to undertake.
So that night will pass. And we got to figure out what you guys want to do now, kind of zooming out at a high level. the reconstruction of New Vanhar is what they're calling it, the demons. It's coming along. They're building atop. There's a lot of raw materials already here. So it's going to take about half the time it would take to build a keep from scratch. So you could hang out for another couple months, about 75 days, until kind of all the fortifications are complete. Or Julius, if you want to march now, you could do that. If you guys want to take some other sort of action, let me know what you want to do, and we can figure it out.
Foliana would certainly suggest that if you intend to do anything with this army, you ought to move it soon while there is still food to be had in the surrounding area.
I was going to say Julius's intent is to strike while the iron's hot. We've almost certainly lost our surprise because of what was reported by Simonese with potential scouts, what have you. So I would say I would probably want to move them as quickly as possible. Construction can wait for Mydfeld. The more days they have to repair, the better prepared they are against us.
Mm-hmm. I shrink your army down, very tiny.
Oh no!
Not enough men now.
It's an army of ants.
All right, so we'll move on over to the. Just going to delete him. I'll be playing the knight. That'll make it easy.
I need a quick bio break if that's all right.
Oh, me too. I was just thinking the same thing because I'm 41.
Well, you'll need twice as many in 10 years.
I suppose.
I'll put a poll out.
All right, welcome back after that short break. Okay, so here's an overview of where we stand. This is not quite what your keep would look like, but maybe after it's complete, these spires and the keep and that sort of thing of New Vanhar. The date is around July 25th, so you're right in the middle of summer. Now, north of the mountains, though, it's quite a more temperate climate, so it's kind of like the fallish weather, so perfect. If you're planning on marching, that would probably be another argument to march now rather than wait. Once the winter comes in the north, it can be pretty hard for armies.
Yes, we want to get there without our supplies so we can starve all winter. Yes.
So, now I'm looking at the map here. Probably the route you would have to take would be to head kind of northwest in this direction and hit the road and take that straight up, or you could do something else. It's kind of up to you.
I see no reason not to march on the road, personally. I think we just try to get outside of Mydfeld. I think we take... So, again, obviously everybody has input on it because we're all in it together. But Julius's plan would be to move through the roadway through Pinebreak, take Mydfeld, and use that as a staging point to get into Mydfeld, and we can try to do a siege or see what options we have available to us at that point, depending on how the fight in Mydfeld goes. I don't think we have to worry about... the Vestberg is the name of the city to the south, correct?
Right. Remember, this whole thing started because you were simply sent to Buzzard's Roost to get Giant's Bane to join up with Mydfeld and then attack Vestberg from the rear. But suddenly you have demons.
Yeah. So the Vestberg, I think they're going to be too concerned with the legions coming from the south to really do anything. So now's our time to take Mydfeld. If we're fast enough, we might be able to take it all. So that's Julius's thinking right now. So, but step by step, first thing, take Mydfeld. What do we know about Jendorf logging camp?
Why don't you give me...
History?
Maybe history, yeah. History at just 12, not too bad. Yep.
Bad for us.
You guys...
We suck.
You, Julius, have spent so much time studying the arcane arts and behind the walls of Fürstenfeld, studying the political machinations of the Age of Legends, studying spells, ways of keeping your patron at bay yet using his power. You know of the Gendors. It's a clan that keep mostly to themselves. It's more than a logging camp. It's a logging camp in name only. But of their culture, numbers, and viewpoints, you know very little. The stereotype is they're a bunch of backwards people.
Mm.
But when you need lumber and stuff, they supply it.
What do the demons bring us in terms of like equipment to take on a keep? I'm assuming we haven't really built a whole lot like that.
You can you can build things probably from the forest and whatnot. The men you have seem to march with minimal food, but they do need some sort of sustenance. If you ordered the demons to stop, build more equipment, that sort of thing, you could probably do it. It's just going to take a good bit of time.
We'll have to revisit it. So I think march along the road, try to take Mydfeld, work from there to take Fürstenfeld. Thoughts from my allies.
Foliana will say that it's traditional to get where you're going before constructing siege equipment. When the army is settling in is the time to do that.
Agreed.
Yeah, it'd be very difficult to do that sort of thing, and then trebuchets or whatever, just like roll them along with the army, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you assemble them there in any case, so. Let's see what awaits us before we get the cart too far ahead of the horse.
And if you build the siege machines, how great is it that you take the place? There's nothing challenging about taking it with siege machines. Climb the wall. They will sing of your deeds for many centuries.
This is true. Perhaps we will do both.
Foliana says if he takes Fürstenfeld, he can spare a bard or two to write the songs he wishes them to write, and then he'll still be sung for whatever deeds he decides to tell them.
You seem to have thought a lot about this, Foliana.
I have nothing to do but think these days.
So, very early one morning, each of you upon your mounts, I'll let you describe what that kind of looks like, but you kind of head out in a long serpentine column with your army. You have some 1,200 cavalry from the mountain tribes. You have 500 to 600 levies, basically peasants that were scared up by Tarban Giant's blood, and you have also the infantry units from Pinebreak Peak that were basically enslaved by the demon's magic, and kind of behind everybody, kind of ushering them forth with whips and pitchforks.
Where there's a whip, boom.
Yeah,
boom,
you have
there's a whip, boom, boom. Where there's a whip.
Yeah.
these demons kind of ushering them along, and I'll let you kind of tell me what that looks like and what your thoughts are, what's going through your character's mind.
Well, Foliana, for one, would be on her horse claiming to scout, so as to not have to march along with it. She finds that a little much to take. So she will range a bit off to the flanks. And she will keep an eye out for things, but it's mostly in truth just to be on her own for a bit.
Julius, how does the Lord of New Vanhar look as he emerges from the stronghold?
Perhaps feeling a bit refreshed from the ale, Julius tries to try to put forth the conflict from his mind as best he can and focus on the task ahead. This is something he has thought about for quite some time, though it is not materializing in the exact way he hoped. It is a different method to the end, and the ends justify the means in his mind. Julius would try to straighten out and don his finest regalia for the march, wanting to ride at the head of it. It appears a leader should, in his mind, at the head of the army. And he will ride at the very front of the group, proud among his horse, looking them all about, prepared to take what he believes is rightfully his.
Tarkle.
Torkel is disgusted. This is not the way to win a war. You charge in and jump ahead. This is not great or valiant. Torkel simply rides behind. He is waiting for time to go.
Yeah, you see Simon, he's kind of, he's actually able to ride a horse. He kind of passes by you and looks your direction, and his forked tongue is kind of going in and out, and then he trots up ahead of you, just kind of smirking. Keep up, fool man. You are slowing us down.
Is that so? Perhaps if I rode slower, it would make it look like you were at the front where you belong as opposed to back here, hiding in the back like a snake.
See you on the battlefield, Toko the Wise.
The battlefield? Is this not a battlefield right here?
And he spurs his horse, and you hear it. The horse doesn't have a good-natured whinny like the elves did. It's more of a pained cry as it kind of spurred forth through the night as the army kind of travels day and night up the road. And so just in case the battle happens, so we need to kind of determine how well tactically you guys move and how you can forage and get supplies and that sort of thing. You'll be able to see the strategic advantage table here. Let's just show that players. There we go. The biggest thing is I need to see if you're well supplied or poorly supplied. And who do you think would be in charge of that sort of thing?
I mean, as far as
Who has the most knowledge of lore or leadership?
I mean, lore, not really. I have a great deal of charisma, I would say. I mean, I'm the leader of this.
I think that's something Foliana would probably do if no one else wants to. I mean, that seems at least...
She knows wayfinding. She knows travel. She knows survival from the land, right? I mean,
Yeah, and she's used to being in charge of people. Not that she enjoys it very much, but you know, her birth has kind of given her some natural leadership, I would say.
Mm-hmm. All right, so make me a roll. So if you're under 12, you're going to be poorly supplied. If you're between 12 and 15, you'll be okay. And then if you are 15 or above, you're actually going to be well supplied when you arrive at your destination.
What is the skill I'm trying here?
In character, how do you think would be best to do it?
I could see
Survival.
nature or survival. Either one makes
Yeah.
some sense to me.
You
Nature
would
is
despoil nature for
Since
these
we're
creatures?
foraging.
Yeah, nature's a good one, I think.
Steward of the land, are you?
You do have inspiration.
I didn't say I'm despoil. Oh no, she's not using inspiration for this. She doesn't. I mean, she's doing her job, but she is not doing it with great enthusiasm.
Perhaps you should do it with less.
Oh, well supplied.
Yeah, I would say she can't help herself. There's a part of her that would actually like to sabotage the effort,
Mhm.
but there's a part of her that cannot be seen to do a poor job at anything if she can help it. So I would say, in spite of herself, she does a good job at rounding up what supplies there are to be found. Well, this part of the land, I suppose, is still okay,
Mhm.
correct?
Yep.
So, yeah.
As you
all
get
right.
further and further from New Bandar,
Right.
less lighted. So yeah, like as you do this, you actually, in some of the soldiers' eyes, every once in a while as you pass by, Fulian, you don't know if it's your heritage or what, but sometimes they look up to you. It's almost like the mask kind of falls through the eye. And at one point, a man around the campfire says, "Thank you, my lady." And it's almost like he's spoken a human voice.
Who? A demon, you said?
One of the soldiers.
Oh, one of the soldiers. Oh, okay.
Like almost as the spell is faltering, like as you further and further you get away from the city.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Foliana will just kind of look at him and make this face of like, what? This is kind of, you're calling me, you're looking up to me, like and then she just kind of laughs and rides on at the absurdity of it.
Yeah.
Never mind.
As you do that, the soldier almost instantaneously, like this black cloud falls over his eyes again, and he goes back to eating the brace of conies that he's kind of tearing into. It's barely even cooked. There's just blood dribbling down his chin.
Yay. A coney in every pot.
And travel north along the road. I'm not going to do the math for the travel time yet, but you're decently well supplied. And eventually your scouts report back that you are drawing close to Mydfeld. And one of them reports that, unfortunately, there are forces arrayed on the road between you and the town.
Yeah, Julius expected it and looks out to take stock if he can see from here.
You're too far away to see, but you can kind of get a schematic from the scouts, and he kind of describes to you. Mydfeld is a small to mid-sized town, kind of outside of just south of Fristenfeld at the confluence of roads. There's basically a kind of a wooden palisade around the village, the town, and kind of farming lands outside of town and inside as well. Simple folk. As you kind of ride north, it's early morning. It's just after dawn. You're kind of coming up this road here, and kind of on either side of you there are low hills. You can see like ancient ruins of a tower to your right and to the left and right, like far in the distance. There's a forest, and as the sun kind of rises in the east, the first rays of the sun kind of pass over the hills. Your shadows on your left as you hear your clop 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 horses, and you also hear the marching of the army as well. All right, what do you do?
Oleana defers to Julius. This is his area now.
And Julius will kind of consider what the scout comes back with, and he looks at the map laid out, rubbing his chin. Torkel, you have the vanguard if you wish it.
Yeah, that would be good.
Nods and considers the terrain. What I would wish to have happen: we put our infantry to the front, lead them down the roadway here. Our cavalry go wide through the woods. It may take them some time. They come out on the flanks of our enemies. The archers, I position them on the hills. Foliana, if you wish to command them, that would be ideal. I think they would benefit from having your presence there.
As you wish.
And I will take the cavalry.
And Simonese kind of comes up to you and, "Shall we command ourselves, my lord? We are thirsty for the flesh of our enemies."
Your forces are going to be essential for the Battle of Fristenfeld. Sate your desires as you wish. Do not waste your lives on this rabble that arrays itself before us.
As you wish. And kind of the demons kind of stomp off into the forest behind this hill here.
When you press the attack, Torkel, have one of the men sound a horn. We'll work to begin our trek around the side and hit them from the flank with the cav.
That shall be done.
Very well. We should be quick and brutal. If some throw their hands in surrender, make sure they're hamstringed nonetheless. None can get in our way from this point forward.
It shall be so.
Alright. Well, when it looks like the main army is in place, Foliana will go forward with the skirmishers and start harassing their flank, but not engaging. Just to try to get them to have to split their attention or turn to fend them off, keep them at bay, to make the main thrust easier until actual battle is joined. Then she'll look for a good moment to sweep in.
So, Sir Carl is with you, Tarkle, with the infantry in front. And kind of as Julius and Foliana are going around the left flank, you are the first one to crest one of the hills and come down and have a view of the plains just south of Mydfeld. Tarkle, as you crest the hill with Sir Carl on your right, you see just line after line of men wielding shields and swords. In front of them are farmers defending their homeland with pitchforks. This is not a battle these folks can lose and escape with their lives, at least so they think. And their numbers, as you get closer, seem quite large, larger than your own, or at least equal, although they seem less equipped. Tell me what it looks like as you kind of come forward with the infantry across the plain, and then I can let Foliana and Julius RP.
Torkel pushes his way to the front. Come, my friend. We shall go and die in great honor in this battle.
And he just doesn't wait for anything to get organized, doesn't wait for anyone else to get in place. He just charges forward with his men into the middle of them.
Yeah, you're just kind of getting jostled side by side, and they seem to be bolstered by your presence, and they're not almost sentient. There's more of a feral growl that goes up, ah, and they kind of rattle their shields. Foliana.
She's sort of marshaling the cavalry over here at the edge of the woods, watching the hills. She's making no attempt to conceal their movement. The whole point is to try to distract them. She had expected Torkel to wait and kind of line his men up so that she could move forward and harass, but she can see he's not waiting. So she kind of rolls her eyes a little bit and just urges them forward to her. I assume are these all archers? What are they armed with?
These archers on the hill?
No, the cavalry. Are these...
That's like spears.
Spears? Yeah, okay. So what she'll do is she will circle around like this and threaten a charge, but not actually do it. Just initially to try to keep pressure off the center. If they then turn to aid in the center, then she'll charge. But she's not going to throw light cavalry at men that are ready to meet her.
Lord Julius.
Lord Julius would likely either... I think I would take a detachment of the light cavalry, actually. And I would want to go this way. If that's plausible. Otherwise...
It is.
Yeah. So I would do that. I would set up with Foliana threatening to the left, Torkel going straight into the middle. I would plan to go around the far side and catch them unaware as the fight's going forward.
All right. So as the battle starts, I'm going to do some math. So we're going to use these quick warfare rules so we don't like hit unit after unit. It's basically going to give us the outcome of a battle, casualties kind of based on whose army is the strongest, and some percentile rolls. I'm going to let Foliana roll for the quote-unquote good guys. I'll roll for the other guys.
Ah.
So you're leaving those demons back. You're not revealing them yet, then, huh? So I need to. If so, I need to remove them from the calculation. Or if your strategy is to lose them at the last moment to keep them in reserve, I will.
Is to keep them in reserve, yeah. Because we can always get more men. Demons may be a bit harder to come by.
Okay. So I calculated your power advantage, which is 53%. Your enemy is rested. They are well supplied. They're also defending their homeland, so they're going to have a bonus of 40%. You rolled well for your well supplied, so you get an extra 10. So your bonus will be 43%. And theirs is going to be 40. It's actually you did some tactical maneuvering. I think there is one for good tactics as well.
The old pincer.
Fighting on favored terrain while the enemy is not, so an extra 20. So your bonus will be 63. All right. So I'm going to roll a percentile dice.
And we're adding 63. Well, we are.
Yep.
All right.
I'm going to do 1d.
Oh my god. Yay.
Yikes.
Exactly what Foliana was hoping for. Not good.
No.
Torkel's charge just leaves our army
Let me...
draggled
Okay.
and yeah.
Yikes.
So that difference there is what? 30?
34.
It is. Yeah.
All right. 34. Let's see here.
Turns out these farmers were stronger than we gave them credit for.
34 divided by 66 equals, you won by 52%. Or they won by 52%, so I'm going to show this chart to you. All right, you should be able to see that one now. So
Clear victory.
This is actually flipped. So what you are going to do is roll casualty for all units. All right, we're just going to RP it at this point, though, guys. Okay, I'll figure this out after the fact, depending on what happens next. But narratively, okay. Narratively, what happens is kind of as this cavalry comes down from the left flank. As this cavalry comes down from the left flank, kind of unveiling themselves beneath white cloaks, and the enemy cavalry is Aemon Gilthonian and a few knights, and a gentleman that has like kind of a staff in front of him. Think Gandalf, but this world's a version. He goes into the fray and like extends his hand, and like this brilliant light just starts mowing through the infantry. The infantry eventually break, and the cavalry that is with Julius Terrask, at least most of them, turn and flee the field. As your infantry is kind of breaking, the demons kind of crest the hill. But with Friar Linden kind of leading the charge against them, they take heavy casualties. and the spirit of Zorul is not as strong in this place, and they eventually retreat into the hills. As if amplified kind of by the heavens, this kind of priest is kind of in front of the fields, kind of rallying his own men, saying, "You fight for your lives, men of Mydfeld. We have with us reinforcements from Southlandia. An ancient family is with you. Steadfast, you have overcome all odds this day." And they're starting to kind of just mop up the field, pretty much destroying all of the levies from the mountains. And Torkel and Sir Carl the Drake and Julius Spoliana, you can tell me what you're personally doing. If you're going to try to go after these kind of heroes that have entered the field, or if you're going to try to flee.
As soon as Spoliana sees Aemon in there, she calls her troops back to retreat, which may have contributed
Yeah,
to...
that may have contributed to it.
There's no way she's going to go fight Aemon. I don't know if they all obey her, but she would order them to retreat. And would later explain it that she could see they were overmatched and would have been defeated pointlessly on that flank. Although that's not totally the truthful answer.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say when she retreats back, she would stand and wait on her horse, not stand on her horse, but, stand still on her horse and watch Aemon. I'm sure he can see her if he's paying any attention.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can see, he just kind of nods in his direction and turns and rides off.
Yeah. You can see Aemon rides past one of the infantrymen from your side and just stabs him through the neck, and then kind of wheels his horse around, and you can see his cape kind of billowing in the wind, and he gives you a nod, action movie style.
Of course.
Julius, you're kind of around on this right flank, right?
I imagine that the cavalry and I see a very terrible thing happen for me. Yeah, so as we're about to crest and come around the side to begin our ride down, the rout is already in full effect. I see the demons being pushed back, our lines crumbling. Julius sits on his horse, and there's a moment of just disbelief, and he just looks and sees that, this has happened. They were beaten at this very beginning juncture so handily, and he just can't help but laugh to himself, and he laughs aloud. He laughs aloud next to the men, just chuckling, and puts his head in his hand, rubs his forehead, and speaks to the voice in the back of his mind, his old patron. You were right. You were right. He motions for the rest of the horse to fall back. This battle is lost.
Tarkle.
Torkel, he knows he must fight, so he fights until he passes out from his own wounds and is captured by his enemies.
Yes. I love that. So we might just play that scene and kind of end it for tonight. So there's a scene. You see Drake on your right fighting, and he gets his left hand cut off, and just blood just spraying everywhere. But eventually he is pushed back. They rout. He sees you get knocked out, and he's kind of forced to retreat. So he retreats back into the hills. But Torkel, you come to,
Yeah.
and it's the next day. Let's see here. I don't have great art. That's fine. So Tarkle, you wake up the next morning, and you are greeted by the face of Aemon Gilthonian, who you recognize from the forest. And you're in one of these little cottages, right? You're in one of these little beds.
Okay.
Well. He is a tough one. Huh. He lives. He still draws breaths. He draws breasts.
If you were wise, you would have seen that I did not.
He still draws breath, Friar Linden. And you see another knight kind of at the entrance of the room. This is like Sir Thomas. This is the one that I saw with Lady Foliana Gredi. I do not think... I think they were only with those forces in name, if not in spirit. What do you have to say for yourself, Tarkle the Survivor?
You love Foliana?
I do love her. I love her as you would a sister, or... well, someone you have served for many years.
You are loyal to her?
He nods his head in agreement. I am. To a fault, it seems, Tarkle.
You must find a way. The demon lives inside of her. It must be cast out. She must be freed.
A demon?
Yeah, Zarul.
Aemon casts a knowing glance at the friar. The friar clutches like a medallion at his breast. Zarul the Vanquished.
Zarul.
That is a name I have not heard for a very long time.
Zarul is not vanquished. He is risen, and he is inside of us.
And he pulls up his shirt and shows the mark on his heart or chest or wherever that mark is.
If you learn to cast it out of her, perhaps you could do it for me as well.
Friar looks at Torkel's breast. Aemon, Sir Thomas, quickly, we must take him to Fristefeld. And with that, the scene fades. All right, I think that ends tonight.